I started to create these videos, and honestly, before I realized that I had been tortured and used due to the secretly implanted nanotechnology for creation of military robot and all other robots, I would never go to YouTube because I didn't have time. And if someone would tell me, these theories like about, people who are like sleepers and so on, Manchurian, so I say, please, I don't have time for this, because you never would read in the press, about this. And always like subscribe to daily newspapers. When I was living in Switzerland, I would be waking up at 5 a.m. sometimes, and I would be going to Postbox that would Tagesanzeiger, and I was reading like this Tagesanzeiger since I came to United States. I even now would have like a plan. If I would come to China and I don't know Chinese, I would immediately like a first day enroll Chinese course, and I would subscribe to Chinese newspapers because it is very useful. You understand the people. One strange thing was happening as I was abused for creation of top military robot. Top doesn't mean really anything. It is just top torture, which means I used to say Jesus was crucified once and I had been crucified every night, and I know now why, but it would be like another video. And actually, I like to read like this column, dear Anne or so on, because that is very interesting, because you get a glimpse of people's mentality in the country where you come, and you don't know anything about country. And I came actually at the age of 38, so this is I was relatively old. And I remember once I read to my husband this, I said, how strange is this? And I would read him, because he never read a newspapers. He would be I would see his back, because he would be reading something on the computer internet before going to work and so on. I said one woman was stating following: I have husband, and I'm extremely scared. He has a weapon, arms, and he doesn't want to give up on arms. And I have children, and I am scared because of it. And he says that he doesn't trust government. And he doesn't want to give up on arms. And I remember very well, I said to my husband, wow, how strange is this? How weird is this? The guy doesn't trust his government. I mean, that was something new for me. And I understand that I was extremely naive. You come to the United States, they say to you, this is the biggest democracy in the world. And then it is anonymous like a society. Nobody pays attention, paying attention to you. Now, when I started to be tortured, I realized that it's not quite so. It appears there is a huge a community of targeted individuals. They are all used for artificial intelligence development and self-driving cars, self-driving planes, robots, especially for robots, sex robots and so on, different type of robots, robotic arms, robotic this, robotic that. This makes complete sense. I was trying to, I did write to 30 maybe senators. I'm going to place this everything on my website, helpingme.com. I didn't have time to update. And I said, what is happening after mouse? All research papers ending with mouse. What is happening after mouse? Who is actually volunteering the brain for these developments? Nobody. They are just catching people alive, pushing them and catching them when they are having some type of the surgery, implanting them secretly with some newest technology that is developed by DARPA, and then just start to practice on them, to experiment on them. And you are writing to someone, to everyone, and nobody is paying any type of attention. Even if you have evidence. I have physical evidence. I spent $30,000. I spent 2 years of my life going to 5 different countries, and I have evidence. And I sue these people. Why? Because they were chasing me to push me under the robot. Finally, to finalize the work, because they would actually to work transplanting conscience of Robot Sophia. Of me to Robot Sophia. And then in that case, actually I should be in bed 24 hours, immobile, so that they can freely experiment and program, because this way they're experimenting program just during the night, because during the day I am the boss of my body and they cannot do much. So I am just going to show you the following main torturer was John McCain, and I created a video being tortured by John McCain when he died, and I mentioned him like even earlier. I even sued some people and mentioned him, and I was sending messages when they chased me actually to incapacitate me since April this year, and all messages, all my emails, even attempts to access box messages, senators, they bounced. The only the only text box that I could get was this of Senator McCain, and I have evidence. I mean, I still have like these bounced emails. I was trying like for several maybe twice or even 3 times to send them this message. I don't think that they even, I think that all did bounce. I mean, I have to check on this, but I'm quite sure that Jerry Brown, he was alerted about this crime. Kamala Harris 5 times. She was even like a joking. You know, she is Indian African and African American woman, and this is all Obama's like babies. These robots, they're Obama babies. Obama started like a Brain Initiative 2013, and I wrote to Brain Initiative, please send me the list of people who volunteered their time for your research. Send me please the list of all people whom you used in your projects, all universities, all research institutions. Of course, I never got any answer because they don't have any list. Now I'm going to tell you like that I was talking with Obama. It was like a short conversation, 1 sentence or 2 sentences that we exchanged during the night. 2013, it was fall 2013. His Brain Initiative started April 2013. I didn't have any idea about this because I just resigned from one company. That was like a second company where I resigned. I was like a horrible bullied in every company. I think if I tell you that I resigned 30 minutes after midnight and I was still working, and tomorrow kind of was a new work day, then you can imagine, I mean, how much I worked there. I would be working Saturdays, Sundays, and I would be placing my files, for example, on SharePoint, and the people who would work with me, this all like Americans and so on, they would just simply go like change the date or change like 1 letter in the file and stamp it with their names. I was saying, hey, why are you doing this? They say, oh, you are not team worker. You know, I mean, just like, I am not going to go that far. But what I wanted to tell, like, I was wondering, Obama asked me following, blank, if I would ask you not to raise a revolution, wouldn't you not do it? And my answer would be during the night, you know, like, of course, Obama, if you would ask me, I wouldn't do this. Now, I was like a really huge fan of Obama. I whenever Obama would do something, I wouldn't even like a question, you know, what is his initiative or whatever. I would like, that was like before I knew that I was like abused for top military robot. And I remember once Michelle like sent his ratings were very much down, you know, and Michelle sent like a birthday, you know, card, please sign like Obama birthday card. I even signed it, you know, and I don't know really like how would I tell this, because I am not a fan of politicians. I'm just saying they're developing robots and they don't have any idea like about people, you know, they don't know me. What they're developing actually, what they know about me is their projection about me, which is very, very dangerous. And in the morning, I did wake up and said, wow, didn't I just hear like Obama's like a voice tonight? He is asking me like if I would be raising a revolution, but it's really crazy. And you know what? I continued with my chores, I mean, with everyday work, and I didn't pay any attention to this. But I remember, you know what? I supported really like Occupy movement, and I said like, did I write? I wrote something to them, you know? Something, they didn't have goals at that point. And as I was studying at the New York Institute of Photography, I have many interests. I studied like a photography. I remember that one of the assignments was following. You need to follow a newsworthy event and then create, you know, sequences, like this event in time. What would be better than Occupy movement? I was like living in Oakland, several blocks from Frank Ogawa Plaza, and there were like these occupiers. So I would be going like, and I would be making photographs. And the second thing, like, I did really support them. They had some good ideas, not all aspects of Occupy movement. For example, I never supported like they would be provoking police. And I didn't like it. Not all police officers are like a bad police officers. Most of them are just actually doing the job. And I had like some encounters, with police, but they were always like a civil. I don't have anything against them. However, during the night, what was played? It was played that I am like a kind of Mrs. Smith and Paul Markovich is Mr. Smith, like this stupid movie. I wasn't able to watch movie to the end, like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. And they actually encouraged me to be violent, during the night, because I was already in this military program since 2007. First surgery I had, I was implanted in nanotechnology. I didn't have any idea. I was thinking that is some esoteric issue between me and Paul Markovich. How would it cross my mind, that he handed me to military 2007. Now I go through my journals and I see clearly I can make now a pieces of this puzzle, and I get like a whole picture. I captured the moment when they merged me with the robot. That was like a March 17 or 18, 2008, and so on. Now I am just telling you how person should be like very, very careful when doing anything. And I found that I placed on, and I would be revolution. I said, I am from revolution so far, like people going to Mars, And now I'm going to show you how they actually wanted to send me to Mars as a humanoid, Elon Musk. And I documented this, everything, the best I could, because this is no touch technology, but I have physical evidence of implants. And I am going to show you, actually, later I went and I have on Flickr from the time when I practiced, when I was studying, at New York Institute for Photography, and finally I got my certificate that this is like a hobby. My is some toy here, like this, where my kitties that are not alive anymore. And I just actually wondered, you see, these are Occupy movement scenes. And this was excellently organized, when unions were working with Occupy movement, but the fact is following. I don't know a single person from that Occupy movement. When I did this photograph, I was wondering, what is going to be with these people after maybe 10 years? Where are they going to be, Because I understood that it's like a historical moment, This is something that is happening and it will never happen again, probably, or I don't know how it is going to be if it happens. For example, Wall Street, Bank of America, and so on. And this everything now. What happened, actually? You see these guys here. This is Oakland's police. They're winking at me. This is like a waving at me. And they're waving at me because they know that I was non-violent, probably. And because I had like a real photo camera, so they might have thought that I was photographer. But definitely, if I were violent or whatever, they would probably not waving at me. And... people like placing candles. Now this was like a point. You see this? This is the point. Then I heard like a chopper. It was 5 a.m. in the morning, and I heard the chopper. And I knew when there is a chopper, there is something happening. I jumped out of the bed, and I was looking where the chopper is, and it was like above Franco Gava Plaza. I went there by car. Everything was closed. There were so many police officers, and you see how that looked. That is like a police. This here, this is like whereabouts of these occupiers. And you see this guy here looking at me, pretty a threatening a look. And this me a homeless people. I always have a heart for homeless people, but these are police officers. They're really a full of armed. They're fully. It was funny. This is one police officer, very serious, and it's a very funny because these people, they were not dangerous. They were mostly a homeless people, but okay, and actually, however, police. Okay, this is this, guys here, and I place this here, and so on. And now this is abstract photographs, my dog, and so on. This is a fine art photography, kind of, I'm not a big photographer, but I like this. And I came after this torture from Europe, and this was a big recession, and I couldn't find actually a job. So that was rather difficult. And you see this guy, revolution. He has even the red newspapers. I made it red, revolution. So, but I don't have any idea who that guy is. And there was another guy, also like I came during the day, and they worked with unions, and they just printed like a poster. Maybe it was written revolution. I don't know. And I asked him, could you smile for me? And he smiled. And I placed this maybe also on Flickr. I don't know. Now I have Obama coming and asking me if I would raise a revolution. Imagine this. But I actually created the goals for these Occupy movements. That was Democracy for America, and it was written to Rudy. And I was on several calls with Wall Street Occupy movement. Actually, I went once to this like a meeting with Occupy movement in Oakland, and I remember I came home and said to my husband, you know what, if these people would be ruling the world, then we rather stay with this like with these here like what we have, because I didn't like, there was like something argument and so on. And I would remember like they didn't have goals like Occupy movement, and there was like a meeting about this. And as I read newspapers, I just captured actually what I know from my experience, what is happening in Europe. But keep in mind, they started actually to abuse me for military robot 2007. That was 2011, and it was like October 2011, November 2011. And I wrote these goals actually, and these goals are. I have to close the window. I have the really nice here. I mean, just like thankfully, this is the reason that I can could recover kind of here and be better than in the United States. Otherwise, it would be hugely difficult. I mean, this is actually platform that Bernie Sanders used also. I don't say like Bernie Sanders stole my platform or so. Why would be doing this? But I don't remember anything about Bernie Sanders at that point. And actually, Democracy for America started to actually work for Bernie Sanders. I mean, they were like a platform that Bernie Sanders used. So I said, conclusion suggestion based on what was written in US European press. It is good that all press discussed your lack of goals and strategy. You get publicity, and now you could build on it by declaring your goals as fast as possible. Essay Chronicle had an excellent column 2 weeks ago suggesting that you should look at the Greenpeace practices. How are they doing it? Hire marketing, economic, and political gurus. You're selling the product, which is the new society with characteristics of social economic justice. Please clearly state zero violence policy. And I mean, I want to stress this, zero violence policy. After the strike, I met some people from neighborhood, and they all talked about riots, not about peaceful strike. Here is the web address from the respectable Swiss newspaper who suggests that if the movement wants to continue to exist and get support, it should use Luther King as an example. To my astonishment, next year, that was 2011, next year, 2012, they really marched from New York to Washington, D.C. Yeah, I don't say that they took my suggestion to march peacefully. I'm just saying someone else maybe come to that idea, because I really don't know a single person from that movement. And I say I agree with them. Also, Spiegel, that is a German newspaper, gives a lot of sympathy and space to the movement, but they know that riots are the part of each peaceful strike, which is appalling for most of Americans as they don't have experience with strikes. And I'm saying, you travel to France, there is a strike. People go to the street, but of course, why not? But that is their right. They are not satisfied. They go to the street to protest something. But this is democracy. Now, some suggestions and clear goals that could be reinforced by most recent stories from the same newspapers that report about riots. What we know was peaceful, excellently organized demonstration. Financing, and this is this is the goals that I created kind of for them. Political system, everybody who would like to vote should give the same amount of money to each candidate, corporations included. Candidates should present their platforms and be chosen based on how well their goals align with the goals of majority of voters. Okay, I mean they are presenting the platforms even now. It is just that they are that are just like financed differently. Some example why. The story this morning, the SF Chronicle, about the woman who collected $1 million for Hillary Clinton. Eventually the money ended with Obama, and then she, having background in farming and real estate, kind of, this is like now, I am cynical, that perfectly preferred her to be ambassador. Now it is like a question mark, was able to choose in which country she would like to be the one ambassador. She chose Hungary, and now she's making all efforts to strengthen democracy in that country, probably teaching them how you can buy the position you wish just if you pay appropriate amount of money. President Obama was in Bay Area twice, one in Woodside, the home of richest Americans, and one in San Francisco, where participants have to pay $7,500 to have pictures taken with him. How is President Obama going to represent me if he has the obligation to his payers? I bet the dudes in Woodside and SF San Francisco were all rich. I was a great fan of President Obama and still believe that some of his ideas are good ones, but he alone can't do anything. I would not like to vote for him, but seeing another side, I got scared. I am telling this because I'm sure that majority of Americans feel the same. Now, did you see Obama when he ended presidency? What did he do? He jumped on Branson, Virgin Atlantic, like this guy, CEO and owner, Branson jet, and jetted around. I think that they went like a private island. So this is what his allegiance, where his allegiance is, like not to average Joe and Jane, paying his daughters $20,000 each for first date dinner. Michelle Obama came during the night when I commented this on Yahoo, and she tortured me so much. She was the most brutal torturer of all of these people. She and John McCain, and I am going to come to John McCain later. And for example, education free or for small tuition fee as in Germany and Europe. You know what? When I studied in Switzerland, in Germany they have tuition 100 euros semester, and they wanted to raise this like for more, and they went all on the street. And I am saying this is actually fair. I don't have children, but we people who don't have children, we also are paying when the child is born. We are paying when child is going to primary school, high school, and so on. But let's leave everyone to have like the choice to have free education, at least at state universities. And now I am telling example. For example, story. U.S. Berkeley turns down talented students from United States, or force them to spend 2 years in community colleges and then transfer to Berkeley. Several days ago, an article in the newspaper said that most of their students are foreigners as they pay the higher tuition. And now imagine like American taxpayers, U.S. taxpayers, he's paying taxes all his life to have their children like being able to get like at least like access to U.S. UC system, you know, University of California system like a Berkeley, Davis, and so on, that are better universities. And then here comes like one person from China paying more, and you guy, you boy, go to community college. Well, that is it. Now, what is third? Healthcare, universal healthcare. If Croatia and Slovenia, small countries in Europe that are everything but rich, can have it, why one of the richest nations in the world is not able to give it to their citizens? Now, minimal wages. Everybody who works from 8 to 5, doesn't matter what type of job, should earn enough to cover living costs, which includes decent housing and food. Nobody should be forced to work 2 jobs to be able to survive. That this would kill the businesses is a myth. In Europe, the minimum hourly wage is, I think, around 15. 5. Tax the rich. Someone suggested that all the idle money that doesn't create any value for the citizens should be taxed at the high rates. By the way, I see the logic in the name Occupy Wall Street, but don't see that much of logic in Occupy Oakland. From whom? I think that the better idea would be Occupy for social economic justice as a main statement, and then leave local movements under the names they have chosen. Occupy is an action word, but it also contains aggressiveness. How to achieve the goals? No violence. Distance yourself immediately. I had already difficulties to explain to whomever I met and who spoke about the riots. Hire economic and political advisors. Choose one of the systems you think would be suitable for US, and then And then, what was then? I don't know. Announce to the people of US, we have goals. Here is how we intend to do it. Please support us and give us as much as you can. I don't think that US needs revolution. Wherever there is the decision that is of national interest, going to war, voting for universal healthcare, there should be referendum. I guess that most of the citizens would be willing to pay higher taxes if this would be a guarantee for social security for each individual. I suggest that your goals are few, the most important ones, but clearly defined. And please issue non-violence policy for all Occupy movements across US. Otherwise, I fear you will lose all sympathy. And this actually happened. They had in Oakland, I don't know, there was some riots. I know it was Sunday, I think. I didn't participate. I mostly participated maybe 6 times. I went there to photograph. I didn't even go every time to photograph. I thought that's fantastic opportunity. I am not that good photographer, unfortunately, so I don't have that fantastic photos, and I lost one whole a series of photos when I went there. But actually they lost sympathy at that point because someone burned the flag. And when they burned the flag, and next, I was subscribed to what is a name, Oakland Tribune, and someone they even supported the Occupy movement somehow. They said that was criminals, they were criminals and so on. Probably there was provocation. I even didn't know that the flag was burned, but I just read this article. And I was so angry that they described these Occupy movement people who were actually young people who didn't have the job, homeless people who didn't have anything but the street as their homes, that they said they are criminals. I said, please cancel subscription immediately. We have corporations that are waving the flag, going to the foreign countries not to pay taxes. They are extremely rich. They consider themselves to be person when it is fitting to them, and then corporations when it is fitting them to them again. And I said, children, actually young people are given the license to go to Iraq, and they can kill, but they cannot buy beer here when they come home. And that is really weird. I find this extremely, extremely weird. My subscription was canceled immediately. I got the message. I think that would be Paul Markovich, because he would sending me spam message. He would say, this woman is crazy. Doesn't matter. Say as you wish. God save